Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages and denominations, welcome to Off the Top Rope, the wrestling show that keeps you in the know. I'm your host, The Loudmouth. Follow us on all our social medias, WAWSA, Mpuma Kappa TV, and of course, The Loudmouth. You can see them right here. Our next segment is going to be introducing you to local wrestlers that are training in Nelson Mandela Bay. Our guest here made his debut at Wrestle Monster 6. After the break, we will hear more about his wrestling journey and a bit more into his personal life. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Our guest today made his debut at Wrestle Monster 6 in front of about 10,000 people. A nice way to make your debut, considering my debut was in front of 150. Our guest today is Adrian Rogue. Adrian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Loudmouth.
So, you make your debut in front of about 8 to 10,000 people. Nerve-wracking?
A bit. Completely spectated my own match in a third-person view.
Right.
But hearing the cheers, even though I was supposed to be booed, made me feel like I accomplished something.
Right.
The training you guys provided and all the lessons you guys taught, it paid off.
Right.
So, I don't know, it felt like I represented you guys and the way you trained and me as Adrian Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
That felt an accomplishment, that I did you guys proud.
Okay. Now, oftentimes people say a match like it, especially your first match, happens in the blink of an eye. And the match itself was about 15 minutes. Did it feel like 15 minutes to you?
No, it didn't. I remember coming out and we were introduced, and then I just remember being double pinned. That's the only thing I remember. It was like that.
Okay. Now, you had an advantage over other guys. I mean, when I started out, it was a bunch of local guys, but you had the UK guys, the international guys, in there watching your match and looking over to you. And I saw you afterwards, spending a lot of time talking with them and getting pointers and things like that. How invaluable to you in your wrestling journey was that help or that information that you were getting from the UK wrestlers?
Like you mentioned, I was privileged in a sense having the UK guys there. Mm-hmm. We spent time with Kobe Bryan and Oscar Haidu, who isn't a tag team anymore, and from Mitchell Starr, and they gave us a lot of valuable tips on our character and how we should work matches. Mitchell Starr, especially, him having this fantastic and spontaneous character, gave me a lot of ideas how I can work as Adrian Rogue, even as a bad guy and a good guy. But come on, let's be face it, I love being a bad guy.
Well, everybody does love being a bad guy. It's so easy to be hated. But there's also a point where, there's this crossover. Did you feel that afterwards, when you were leaving and people saw you in the crowd, they had that animosity towards you, or were they really proud of the work that you put out there? What was your feeling afterwards?
So I went out to go to people and to my mom, and she just hugging me, saying she was proud of me. But even though I was in normal gear, people looked shocked that the person that was in the ring and here is actually talking to someone, because I came out as a sour person and a grumpy person, and them saying congrats on your match or that match was great. It felt good. It really felt like I made everyone proud who was there supporting me.
Right. I get that. So you've had this match now, and we're going back to training and things like that. Where was that point that you felt that come down from the high, from the wrestling high? Was it some guys feel it an hour afterwards, some guys feel it a few days after? When did that wrestling high subside for you?
I guess a week actually a week after the match, because I still looked at photos about the match and I have fond memories of it.
Okay.
The high came down when when I started realizing my body was a bit battered, if I can say it like that. And then that high put me on ground level again.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me that you are still human, you're not a superhero.
Now, the Adrian Rogue character and the Adrian Rousseau personality, where does the one stop and the other one start?
So I created Adrian Rogue as a gaming character first. And Adrian Rogue in my mind was someone who was fearless.
Right.
And someone who could do anything he could. Because a lot of games provide that experience.
Right.
But I created Adrian Rogue in wrestling as well, so I can be fearless and so I can be unbreakable. Because Adrian Rousseau isn't that.
Right.
So Adrian Rogue is everything Adrian Rousseau wants to be.
Right. And what does Adrian Rogue want to be?
Adrian Rogue wants to be champion.
Okay.
Adrian Rogue wants to inspire.
Okay.
Adrian Rogue wants to showcase to the rest of the world that South African wrestling isn't dead. He wants to be a pillar in that.
Okay. Now, as a trainee, we as trainers look out for you guys watching other matches and looking out for some of the nuances that we've seen. And some of the guys, some of the trainees have been going through the old WWP matches. Now, after the break, I've got a WWP match that we've queued up for you from the Thunderstruck days.
Ooh.
I want you to take a look at that match, and from a trainee's point of view, I want you to keep an eagle eye out. And I'm going to be asking you a few questions from that, because I want to judge from Adrian Rogue's point of view and from Adrian, the trainer's point of view, where you feel certain things should have been done. Because it takes a keen eye to judge, but it takes a keen eye to learn. And I want to see how you have learned in your training. So, ladies and gentlemen, after the break, we are going to be doing what we've been doing previously. We're going to be showing an old Thunderstruck match, and Adrian here and myself are going to critique the match in a positive and sometimes in a negative way. And then from there, we're going to show you guys how, as wrestlers, we look out for certain things. So please stay with us, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the show. In our ongoing series, I have got a trainee from right here in Nelson Mandela Bay to talk a bit about his wrestling journey and put a keen eye over some of the things that we've been teaching them in different matches. Now, this match that we're going to queue up is a match from WWP Thunderstruck. It is Thunder God versus Becky the Taxi Driver. In studio with us is Adrian Rogue. Adrian, we're going to have you take a look at this match, and I want the control room to queue it up so that I want you to see some of the things that we're trying to teach to you that are happening in other matches, so that you don't make those errors, or you do it in a different way. And as you can see here, in white is the Thunder God, and in red is Becky the Taxi Driver. Control room, can we queue up the footage, please, and roll it? So this, I believe, was from the first season here. Thunder God was in terrific shape. Becky the Taxi Driver is one of the most beloved characters that we see here. Now, we've got it going mid-match. The reason why we've got it going mid-match is because of some things that we've discussed in the wrestling ring.
Yeah.
One of the things we discussed is to pick your spots. Now, Thunder God was a tremendous wrestler, but with his size and with his skill level, he wanted to dominate, and that's fine. But also here, Becky the Taxi Driver is exactly the same size. So what have you seen so far in this match that from a trainee point of view, you can say, okay, I can tend to do that a little bit differently?
Well, first off, he's not giving him breathing time.
Right.
We were taught to give breathing time to our opponent, and the only bit of breathing time he gave was like 10 seconds, even if it was that. He's not giving his opponent, Thunder God is not giving his opponent any breathing time.
Right. Also here, as you can see there, Thunder God is in firm control of this match.
Yeah.
Now, we often say to you guys, the moves have got to mean something.
Yeah.
But look how rushed he is in his moveset. Is that now something now that you've actually focused on? Because I've noticed in the ring, your moves are very impactful, but then you also give it a chance to how can I say, to ruminate with the guys. Oh, nice bump on the outside there.
Oh, yeah. The human brain takes about 2 seconds in processing information.
Right.
So, someone like me who has a bit of ADD, I'm struggling to process what's going on. This now I remember. Oh, he took a bump, but the previous shots was just. I'm struggling to understand why he's dominating his opponent. I want to see something of a comeback.
Yeah. You see, now this was one of the things. This is why I specifically picked this match for you. Is because when we train with you, we train in a certain way so that everything is consistent. If the flow is consistent and the moves are consistent here. Now, what I'm seeing here is Thunder God has already done 3 drop kicks to Becky, just in this segment here, and this is what, maybe 2 minutes into his heat.
Yeah.
And it's 3 drop kicks. I understand that, but I mean,
it's 3 drop kicks, a clothesline, body slams. There's a bunch of impactful moves. For me, it feels like the moves aren't meaning anything.
Right.
Like, yeah, he could have just waited, make the crowd be shocked.
Yeah. That's a weird one.
Yeah, now his opponent is maybe forcefully taking breathing time to tell him, hey, listen, chill a bit out, get a bit of crowd support.
You know, I've watched the match before, but now that you're sitting here watching it, Becky ran through the ropes and jumped out. No cue or nothing like that. It's a very strange scenario, because it also seems like Becky's a bit frustrated of the situation. Yeah, do you think that's something that may have happened there?
It could be. Maybe they talked about spots, and Thunder God isn't doing them. I mean, that's a nasty snap, mate.
That's a nasty snap, but he's done 3 before.
Yes.
So I'm not seeing the flow here. I'm not seeing where everything needs to, wrestling is very subjective. Things need to happen. You need to work up to that. Now here's a pin, and there's the victory. It's a very one-sided, a very weird victory.
It's very squashy, and both of them are the same size, like you said, and I saw that as well. Both of them are the same size. Why was it a squash match?
Yeah.
It would make sense if I would squash someone who's half my size, but it wouldn't make sense if I squashed someone who's my size or even bigger.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense. For me, okay. Just.
So we're going through the match. Where would, as Becky, the taxi driver, where would you, if you were him, have put your cutoff there?
Well, if I can take inspiration from the Miz,
right?
There's a lot of Miz matches he goes outside.
Right.
I feel like if a face would go outside, he could duck under a clothesline and start with a comeback.
Right.
Maybe does do a clothesline of his own, a shoulder block. Hype the crowd up, get believable reactions. But I feel like there was something of that missing. Everything felt like 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3.
Right, I get you. And from a Thunder God's point of view, do you think he ignored a cutoff there, or do you think he didn't give his opponent enough time to think about where his cutoff should be?
I will play devil's advocate here.
Right.
I've been in my match. I've been there where I couldn't hear my opponent. Right. So maybe there was cut-off things called, but he couldn't hear his opponent with the raucous crowd.
Right, I get that.
That could be a possibility.
That's a possibility. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, after the break, we are going to have a surprise for Adrian Rogue. We're going to get a little something from him that hopefully will give him some encouragement going forward and have him progress in his wrestling journey emotionally and mentally. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. In studio, we've got Adrian Rogue, one of the trainees at the WAWSA Training Center right here in Nelson Mandela Bay. Right now, we have got a message of encouragement from one of Adrian's, shall we say, close friends, maybe even his best friend. Control room, can you cue up the video, please?
I'm Jared van der Water, friend and training partner of Adrian Rousseau. The way you guys should learn to know him, Adrian Rogue. Now, I know tomorrow night's going to be good guy or bad guy, but for now, I'm going to tell you about the guy that I know about. The guy that sacrificed his entire life to chase a dream only he could see. Guy that went against the naysayers and the bullies. Man, this is a big one for you. I watched your debut. It was excellent. The crowd absolutely loved it. And they should absolutely fear Adrian Rogue, because I know what he's about to do. I want you to stay on this track, man. Stay in the gym, keep training hard, and someday, and hopefully soon, I can join you there on that stage to perform. But for now, I want to see you become a world champion first. Remember one thing, my friend. It's a very important message, this. Life is a journey. And that journey depends on you. So I want you to step into that ring. Do what you always dreamed of doing. And beat the living crap out of everybody. And remember one thing, man. Remember to raise anarchy. Because only me and you know what that means. But do it to the best of your ability. Be the kid that dreamt of this. Remember the bullies. Remember their voices. Let it inspire you. Let it help you demolish everybody who gets in your way. You're about to be a king, my friend. You're about to be the GOAT of wrestling. Remember who you are. Be an anarchist.
So that's your best friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
You seem a bit. There's a bit of a blush going on there. What's going on?
There's a cringe going on.
I mean, how does it emotionally make you feel to know that your best friend supports this endeavor and this journey that you're on?
So, Jared and I, we started wrestling together, but because of complications, we couldn't continue that journey together. Right. And he went into MMA and I remained in wrestling.
Right.
Seeing him supporting our dream that eventually turned into mine means a lot, because I know someday he will join me on this in the ring.
Right.
And someday we might join together as a tag team on your podcast or show.
Right.
So it does mean a lot that he still supports and believes in my dream.
Right. Do you then have some of your matches, when in future, some of your matches, are you going to be dedicating a few of those matches to the potential tag team that could have been?
Yes. Jared mentioned Anarchist, and that will be our tag team name.
Right.
And our finisher would have been Rogue Wolf, because I'm not gonna spoil his wrestling name. I want it to be a surprise. But yes, some of my matches in the future will have a little bit of references, if I can say it like that, a nudge to him, because he has a very cool moveset. But yeah, it will have references to his moveset in the future.
Right. Now, earlier on you mentioned that your goal in professional wrestling is obviously to be a champion. Now, if you had your choice, we've got obviously the All-Africa champion TJ Tremor, and we've got the WAWSA heavyweight champion, Mr. Wrestling. Between those two, which one would you like to face Where would you like to face them? And in which particular match would you like to have when you are facing that particular person?
Honestly, I believe people should retire.
Okay.
I would take Mr. Wrestling. TJ has a lot of dreams, and he has a future in the UK and in America, as he has discussed with us.
Right.
I would face Mr. Wrestling.
Okay.
You know, taking the old yeller behind the shed.
Okay.
Where? Well, obviously the biggest show of them all, Wrestle Monster.
Right.
A match type. A good old classic one-on-one match. No false count anywhere. No extreme rules. No TLC. A good old-fashioned match. Because I can decimate him without the need of breaking rules. Simple as that.
Okay. Okay. So you want to take out Old Yeller?
Essentially.
Okay. And you feel that you've got the tools for that?
At the moment, no. I'm not going to be an arrogant little prick here.
Okay.
I know I have a lot of training left, and a lot of lessons need to be taught.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe if he's still champion after all those lessons have been taught, Old Yeller will get taken behind the shed.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you've heard it first. Adrian Rogue versus Old Yeller. But for now, he's going to be at our training center, busy putting in the hard yards, making sure that he does Nelson Mandela Bay proud when he puts his best foot forward. And who knows, those matches could be happening sooner than you think. Ladies and gentlemen, and Adrian, I want to thank you very much for being on our journey with us during this episode. Once again, follow all our social medias and keep abreast of all the trends that are happening right here in Nelson Mandela Bay. WAWSA brings to you the best professional wrestling on the African continent and brings to you the best trainees that we can put forward. Off the Top Rope. Uncensored, uncut, and absolutely raw. See you next time.
Oh,